Hi guys, now we're going into our Chaturanga tutorial. So for this one of the most important things is to know with your Chaturanga where your shoulders should be. So Chaturanga, the elbows are not out wide, they are tight in towards the body. And you want to have a think, we can play with what Chaturanga looks like from here. So Chaturanga, elbows and are in line kind of with the wrist. You will go outside of this range of motion when you're going down, but that's like a basic for you to start to feel it when you're on your knees. Okay, you want to have your elbow or your shoulder always in the socket. So what Chaturanga shouldn't be doing is a lot of like folding forward. It should be nice and in the socket, so you're in a nice long line. Obviously, if you come all the way down to the floor, you will have your shoulder go into this angle. You notice that I don't teach a lot of that in my classes for that exact reason, and I'll show you how you can bring this sort of 90 degrees angle into your Chaturanga practice to avoid that extra level of movement that through repetition could lead to injury. There's nothing wrong with that range of motion as long as you do it with great technique. But as you know, through a yoga class you do a lot of Chaturangas, and if your form starts to fail and you do dump into that shoulder, you can do some damage with this extremely flexible joint. So let's get into it. First Chaturanga, think about that nice right angle in the elbow and that shoulder in the socket. You want to keep this is how you should finish your Chaturanga on the floor. Yeah? So your shoulders should not be up near your ears. They should be nice and in the socket. Let's give it a try. So we're going to come down to the floor. You want to bring your knees onto the floor first. Flatten your feet behind you. We're going to come down just halfway to 90 degrees in the elbows and suck them in towards the body. So this is the same position. Keep everything the same. Bring your knees in and just come up and see where you're at. Are you like this? Are you like this? So just observe. You want it. Your Chaturangas are almost like a tricep push-up. So rather than a wide push-up, which is doing your chest, you're going to be in that tricep push-up position. So that's a nice way to think about it. And you want to feel your elbows brush the side of the body every Chaturanga. That's a nice way to know that your elbows and your shoulder are in line. If your elbows go out chicken wings, over time, this causes a lot of pressure on that joint. We want to try and bring it into the strongest position for our shoulder, which is here. Which is why after practicing yoga for a long time, I like to just come down to 90 degrees in my Chaturanga. You can come all the way to the floor, but that extra rotation doesn't really, the extra range of motion doesn't give you a lot of extra strength or have many benefits. It can lead to injury if you get tired. So a few things, if you start to feel tired, first, knees down on the floor, 100%. Until you're really sure with your Chaturanga or feeling strong, knees on the floor. Second one, stop at 90 degrees in the elbows, and you're in a nice line like this. All right, let's try it again. So hands out, I'm gonna bend the elbows, come down to 90 degrees. Another thing that I see is a lot of either this in a Chaturanga or this, just like really flopping down. So I'll show you how people will start with their Chaturangas is they will come to a class and they'll do this. The elbows out to the sides, they flop down into their belly. They kind of come into a little bit of a worm motion. So if you've noticed that you've done that, it's fine. We all did that when we first came to class, but now that you know, we want to imagine we're in one straight line. So a full Chaturanga should look similar to this. So you're going to come down and then elbow. See how everything is nice, dead straight. We're going to flip the toes, come up, squeezing the glutes and the thighs are lifting, rolling the shoulders back, chin to chest. I prefer to just release the neck. So that is your Chaturanga is like one straight plank. What Chaturanga traditional Ashtangis will teach knees, chest, chin, which I personally don't like for modern anatomy purposes. I think it does encourage you to dump into your shoulders. What that looks like and what you might see in some yoga classes is something similar like knees to chest to chin and forward, like a snaking movement, which is still not, it looks good and it's a lovely flow of a movement, but with the amount of Chaturangas that we're doing, especially in a power class or an Ashtanga class, unless you're doing it perfect every time, I think it opens you up to risk of injury. And what you know, being a beginner or starting something new, or even someone who's been doing it for a long time, I try to avoid injury as much as I can and adapt practices to modern anatomy, which I do believe that the two things that can help you the most is bring the knees on the floor and come down into that tricep push-up. Keep those elbows tight to the body and come straight up to your up dog. Squeeze your glutes, maybe lift your thighs, squeeze your shoulder blades together, chin to chest, and push into a downward facing dog. So you've got those options. You've got knees on the floor, 90 degrees. You can come the full way down. Let's try that chaturanga. So usually you're in a downward facing dog. And then we move forward into a plank pose. I bring my hands a little bit closer together than my downward facing dog. You come forward onto your tippy toes a little, so you can bend your elbows and feel them brush to walk beside the sides of the body. Squeeze the booty. And then from here, you can come all the way to the floor, that's fine. And inhale into a cobra or an upward facing dog. So you can do that if you don't want to stop at 90 degrees. I would rather that you did your chaturanga 90 degrees in the elbows but kept your knees on the floor. It actually will build a lot more strength. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then once you're ready, you can do your chaturanga without the knees on the floor and 90 degrees in the elbows. Bring your knees down, take a break. So what else can I show you with your chaturanga? That's it, I think. So let's have a few more flow throughs. I'll do your three options: your beginners, knees down, intermediate, and advanced version. So we start in downward facing dog. Come in down dog. I like to have my hands wide in down dog, wrap the shoulders, look towards the feet, push through the heels. You can have a little bend in the knees and get that weight back if you wish. For me now, after many years of work, I can finally straighten my legs. But for many years, I had my knees bent and heels off the floor. Now, look between your hands. We're going to bring the hands a little closer together for our chaturanga. We come forward onto tippy toes, get that lift, come into a plank. So you're very straight. You're pushing through the heels, strong through the booty, strong through the legs. You're not sinking down through the hips. Come forward onto your tippy toes, bend your elbows, brush the side of the body. So do you notice my hips are not sinking? They're straight. They're really strong. Tilt the tailbone, ribs in. Imagine you have a glass of water on your back. So come down to 90 degrees. That glass of water is not spilling. Tip the toes, come up. You spill it down your back. Rotate. So we're going to pinch the shoulder blades, open the chest, maybe the thighs lift. Downward facing dog. So I'll show you what not to do in your chaturanga, which is very common. All right, let's do it again. So, down dog, coming forward. I'm sinking the hips, my elbows out to the front, my shoulders are hunched to my neck as I just kind of plonk my way down without any glute strength or core strength to the floor. Okay, so that's what we want to try to avoid. The whole body's straight and strong and aligned. So through repetition, we're not dumping and sinking. We're using muscle strength to make sure that our anatomy is aligned to avoid injury. So yeah, one more time. Okay. Down dog. And then we come through a flow. So come up onto the tippy toes, maybe round and ripple forward. Come onto your tippy toes and bring your chest forward. You want to make sure the eye of the elbow is facing forward as you bend your elbows back towards the back of the mat. Come down into your 90 degrees. Stop in a nice line. Come onto the tops of the feet and then up. Upward facing dog. Squeeze the shoulders. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Another nice point I thought of when I was doing that is you need to have the eye of your elbow coming forward. So if your elbows are rotated out to the side like this, you need to bring them in so the eye of the elbow is forward, so you can bend your elbow and it brushes the sides. So another little tip I just thought of when I was doing that. And namaste. I hope you have happy chaturangaing now, and always here to chat if you want to ask questions. Actually, one more thing before I forget. If chaturangas are too much or you injure your shoulder, the best thing to do in your vinyasas, instead of a chaturanga from your down dog, bring your knees down, you come into a cat-cow, inhale, look up, exhale, round through spine. Then when everyone comes back to downward facing dog, you bend your knees and come back to down dog. So if you want to skip your chaturangas in a vinyasa flow, if you have injury or anything else, please skip it. Just do a cat-cow. Look after yourself and your body. Don't forget to show us your progression and post online on Instagram, Brave Yoga. Tag us, post your videos of how you're doing. We'd love to see how you're progressing. Big love. Chat soon. Bye.